I loved plasma TVs, and if you're old enough to remember, you know that those things were the truth. It had black levels that LCD simply couldn't touch. The motion was so smooth that it felt like you were just kind of looking through a window. And TV enthusiasts like myself swore by it because it was genuinely measurably better. But that tech went away anyway because it simply couldn't compete on price. And good enough at the right price beats better at the wrong price every single time. And that's a rule that plasma just simply couldn't survive. And I say all that because I think about plasma TVs and sort of what happened to them. I think about that a lot whenever I'm testing TVs, which technology is actually going to win long term, not necessarily which one is going to be better on a spec sheet. So when I tell you that I've been testing this gigantic Hisense 116UX RGB MiniLED TV, that I can't stop thinking about plasma, just try to understand what I mean. I'm not saying that this TV is going to end similar to how plasma was. I'm saying that this TV gives me the same feeling that I had whenever plasma first came around, because I do think that there is another popular TV technology that now has a reason to be worried. But before I tell you all about this gigantic TV, let me just stop and say thank you for watching these videos and supporting my dream to get to do this for a living. So as a small token of appreciation, I'd like to give you a chance to win $200. All you have to do is leave a comment on the first thing that you would watch on this gigantic Hisense set. Give the video a thumbs up if you feel so inclined. It matters a lot to the video and also my heart. Make sure to leave a way for me to contact you on your YouTube account. If you win, I'll leave this running for 10 days, open worldwide. So I first saw this thing at CES, and on a show floor surrounded by every TV manufacturer trying to kind of like grab your attention, the Hisense booth was one of the ones that actually stopped me in my tracks. And I've seen plenty of big TVs at these shows, and this one was so much bigger than I was expecting in a way that's sort of hard to explain until you're actually like standing in front of it. This thing looked so good, like suspiciously good for its size, but you know like how CES is. CES is gonna CES. You've got like controlled lighting, you get curated content, and everything is optimized to impress you. And I've been like fooled before. I've seen TVs at CES, they've looked great, taken them home, and they haven't looked quite as great. So I wanted to wait until I could get this thing in the studio, test it myself, and live with it before I formed any sort of final opinions in my head. Now, full transparency, Hisense did sponsor this video, but that won't stop me from telling you all the good and the bad about this set and why I think that the next few years in TVs are actually about to get really, really interesting. Okay, so OLEDs had the crown for like a decade, like perfect blacks, infinite contrast, and pixels that just like turn off completely. That's why they got perfectly black. If somebody asked me what the best TV was, the answer was always gonna be like some version of like, just get an OLED that you can afford. And for darkroom movie watching, that's still going to be my recommendation. Now, I'm not here to tell you that like OLED suddenly like got worse, like obviously it's amazing, but OLED's been bumping into sort of the same walls for years. They have brightness ceilings that they just simply can't break through. They have incredibly annoying automatic dimming that like crushes your highlights if a scene gets like too bright or too intense. Burn-in is still a concern, even if it's incredibly rare, and certain types of panels still have like color fringing issues that will reduce things like text clarity. And not to mention like the prices of OLEDs at these like really large sizes can be absolutely insane. Like a 97-inch flagship OLED TV can get up to $25,000. And all those kind of inherent issues that like OLED is running into, that's kind of the reason why RGB MiniLED was created in the first place. Now going back to earlier, plasma died because it simply couldn't scale and it couldn't get cheap. RGB MiniLED won't have that problem. Hisense is using red, green, and blue LEDs as the backlight itself, tens of thousands of them generating color at the source instead of like filtering like white light through a bunch of layers. Now Hisense's HiView AI engine RGB processor controls each one of those colors individually, which is how they're getting such precise dimming and color accuracy out of a panel this size. Now, if you're like a TV nerd like myself and like you like all this like behind the scenes stuff of like how these panels are made, Linus from Linus Tech Tips did a tour of their factory just to kind of see how it was all made, see behind the scenes. I'll link that video below if you want to see that deep dive. Now, the manufacturing process is going to build on LED infrastructure that already exists. They're not like reinventing the whole factory system. They're evolving for something that's already there. And that means that this tech has a very clear path to getting cheaper much faster than something like OLED. And we've seen this thing before, like QLED went from like a premium TV technology, now it's down in like entry-level TVs. Mini LED prices dropped massively after just like 1 year of coming out. And then we watched 8K go from like absurdly expensive to like slightly less expensive. But that trend of like prices going down is going to happen for RGB Mini LED as well. And there's also like a lifespan question with all of this stuff. OLED uses organic materials that will degrade over time. Blue pixels are just simply gonna wear out faster than red and green, which is part of why like burn-in exists and why manufacturers have had to like engineer around that whole problem. RGB Mini LED doesn't have organic compounds. There's nothing to really degrade kind of in the same way. So for the people who like really like to hold their TVs for like a really, really long time, or they worry about long-term panel health, those things actually matter. Meanwhile, OLED manufacturing just keeps getting more and more complicated. You get like more layers for brightness, you get like tandem stacks now, you get more filters, like all of that stuff. Now prices for OLEDs, to their credit, they are coming down. Like this one that we have here in the office, like it's a few years old, it's 97 inches, and it started at $30,000 when it first came out. Now it's down to about $15,000. So yeah, like prices are coming down, but just like very, very slowly. But RGB Mini LED, it just simply has a brighter future than OLED, at least on the manufacturing side. But the big question with all this is like, is there more to RGB Mini LED than just like an insane level of brightness? Can RGB Mini LED actually compete with OLED on picture quality? So first, let's talk about brightness, because this giant TV behind me, Hisense is stating that it can get up to 8,000 nits. In real world testing, I measured it at 5,800 nits in a 10% window and 1,200 nits in full screen, which is very, very impressive. This makes this the brightest TV that I have personally ever tested in my career. But I don't want to leave it at like just that. Like I need you to understand like how bright this thing actually is. The brightest OLED from last year got around 2,300 nits in a 10% window and around 400 nits for full screen brightness. And like TV enthusiasts like myself, our jaws were collectively like on the floor over that level of brightness. This Hisense is producing well over double those numbers. Now granted, like how we perceive light is logarithmic. So it's not like if you see like double the numbers, you're not actually seeing like double the amount of light. But no matter how bright any of these flagship OLEDs got, you never really had to squint at it. Like I feel like that's kind of the difference. On the 116 inch, I had to like squint more than a few times, especially when I'm testing like Mad Max and there's like big explosions. Like I literally like went like that a few times whenever I was testing it. And on top of that, OLEDs, they simply can't sustain high brightness across the whole screen without them having to dim themselves. RGB Mini LED, on the other hand, does not have to do this. So that gap is real and it matters for things like HDR. But the brightness isn't necessarily what sold me. It's that the color does not fall apart whenever this TV gets really, really bright. Traditionally, when like a lot of displays, they push a lot of brightness in those highlights, the color actually kind of like goes sideways. The 116 inch holds those colors steady. Now Hisense is claiming 95% of the BT 2020 color space, and most content isn't like mastered to take advantage of that sort of like wide color gamut. But when you find something that actually uses it, say something like Pixar films like Inside Out or Inside Out 2 or something like that, the difference that you'll see in the colors is really, really obvious. Now motion handling on RGB Mini LED, this also surprised me a lot, but it is noticeably better than anything that I expect for a TV, especially this size. If you like motion smoothing, like it's certainly improved here over like a traditional Mini LED. If you're like me and you don't like any motion smoothing, then you could just turn that stuff off and you still are gonna get like a cleaner motion than most LED panels can deliver. The picture just sort of generally looks clean and crisp in a way that I don't really get from a lot of other like LED TVs. And like, look, like I'm not some kind of like OLED purist here. Like one of my favorite TVs of this year is actually an LED TV. But I feel like this one, it takes another step forward. Obviously it felt very, very bright, but somehow it also felt very balanced. Colors felt very rich, but not like oversaturated. Now that was all the good stuff, but let me sort of talk about some of the trade-offs of this tech. Now blooming, it's LED technology. It's still going to exist in some aspect, but for this, like it's really, really tough to find it. You gotta be really, really looking for it. In normal viewing, like the black levels on this are gonna look absolutely amazing. So there isn't really any perceived blooming in things that I watched. Again, you have to be like inches from the screen. You gotta be like really, really looking for it. It is there, but again, most people are not really gonna see it. There was some clouding in sort of dark scenes, but that may be sort of source dependent. Viewing angles are actually quite good, again, for LED tech, but if you still like sort of like drop off to the side, I mean, it's like a VA panel. Like it's going to dip, the contrast is gonna lift a little bit, the colors are gonna get a little bit less saturated, but at least in comparison to other LED techs, you can get a much further over to the side before that happens, especially on this Hisense, because this set is a premium set with a very massively premium price. As of right now, this set is $25,000, which, you know, like maybe a little bit too high for most people. Hisense told me that they are releasing a more accessible RGB Mini LED TV series a little bit later this year. That's kind of the point of like all this stuff. This is a generation 1 in 116 inches because that's where the kind of new display tech just starts now. It's like an electric car. You start big and then the prices will slowly come down as they get adopted more and more. It's big, it's expensive. Because I think it's one thing to sort of sit here and just kind of talk about how bright or how rich this TV is. It's another thing to actually live with a 116-inch TV day to day. So first, gaming on this thing, absolutely absurd. And I mean that in like the best way possible. 165 hertz panel, VRR with really low input lag. Again, the specs are nice, but the specs don't tell you what it's like to play on a 116-inch screen. Now, I did play a few games just to kind of test the response times, and one of those was Expedition 33, one of my favorite games in the last like decade. And if you played that game, you know exactly how crucial it is to have really good response times on your set. When you're used to gaming on like a 65 or 77-inch TV, you think you know what a big screen feels like. I promise you, you don't. This is completely different. The game like fills your peripheral vision. It's like the closest thing that I've got to feeling like I'm inside of a game without actually having to strap a headset onto my face. Movies pretty much feel the same way. Now, watching a well-mastered movie on this thing, like sitting at the right distance, it feels really close to like that private theater feeling. And that impactful brightness means that you don't have to kill every light in the room just to get a good picture. You get to just like sit down and enjoy what you're watching. But sports might actually be where both the size and the panel technology is going to make a really big difference. Now the size, like obviously it's gonna feel like more impactful because like it's gigantic. It certainly feels closer to you like being at the game than like any other TV that I personally had in the studio. But I think the biggest difference is going to come from that capabilities of the BT 2020. Now, not every sport is being broadcast in HDR or using BT 2020 color space, but some of them are today. NASCAR and soccer are gonna be the two primary ones where you're gonna see this right now, but more sports are gonna be coming. But currently, if you're like a huge FIFA or like a World Cup fan, the benefits of having a TV that can display BT 2020 are real right now. Okay, so after all this stuff, where does this leave us in the grand scope of TV technology? OLED is still gonna be for dark rooms. Like you have the best black levels that money can buy. You have no question about that. You got like infinite contrast, motion clarity. If you're gonna be watching movies at night with all the lights off and that's like your primary use case, then I still think that OLED is gonna be a good answer. But bright living rooms, they're a completely different story. So is wanting HDR that doesn't dim itself the moment that a scene gets like really intense. So is wanting a screen size that OLED can't affordably give you. And if burn-in or like panel longevity has ever crossed your mind, RGB Mini LED, it's going to eliminate those concerns entirely. But the thing about RGB Mini LED is that it isn't just bright. It isn't that it's just vibrant. It's that it's scalable. It's built on an infrastructure that already exists. And in this first generation, it's already made me more optimistic for its future. And I think beyond that, Hisense has made me very confident that their version of RGB Mini LED is actually worth the hype. But I think that if any TV technology is going to change the mindset of the general public on what Hisense is capable of, it's going to be RGB Mini LED. But I walked into this sort of fully expecting to be underwhelmed by this tech. Like big promises of things like this almost never meet expectations in this industry, but I'm walking out feeling impressed, optimistic, and reconsidering what I thought that I knew about this tech. And that does not happen very often. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.